So today we're going to talk about using first-party data to fuel your keyword research. And I do not think a lot of people currently keyword research this way or do keyword research this way. I know I didn't when I first got into SEO. I jumped into all the big shiny tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, Answer the Public. There's just so many out there, and I'm sure there's three more as I'm just making this video that came up right now to do for keyword research. And I'm not knocking those tools. Those are very important and useful tools, and they have a time and a place. And I think they still should be a part of your keyword research process and strategy. But that being said, I think you can get a long way with just using Google as a side approach to those tools. But to layer on this, I think you should start with your own first-party data first and layer on your keyword research with your first-party data with those tools afterwards. So what I mean by using your first-party data is hopefully you have it. I'm pretty sure that you would unless you were a brand new site. So this is especially useful for SaaS companies, but any company, but SaaS and e-commerce, I think this really is a lot more useful for, and you're going to have probably a lot more data with some of these recommendations. And those are the only industries that we work with and I work with, so that's where this comes from. So some examples of first-party data, and what I mean by that. So first-party is just you own it. It's your own data coming from your customers, your website, your online reviews associated with your company, as opposed to third-party tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush. Those all use data from mainly the same place, jump shot data. Maybe SEMrush might have a little bit more data points as they allow you to integrate with GA, and now Ahrefs does GSC, and so they're getting more of their own data. But again, using your own data first is the way to go, because there's almost always going to be less of it, but it's going to be pretty golden if you can spot some modifiers that you weren't aware of, or some longer tail intent type keywords where you understand how your buyers are starting to formulate their searches. So some places to look are definitely your support tickets. This is one that's often overlooked, but just getting your support, and honestly, I never really say only give it to me for this amount of a date range, unless the company has changed, their products have changed. I would want to get that data as far back as possible. I can always not use it as my philosophy with like asking, other people for data. So just give me it all, give me as many fields as possible, and that's what spreadsheets are for. So give me those data points so I can understand and probably start to bucket these. I first would want to clean the data a little bit, understand the shape of it, understand how much of this needs to be cleaned up for me to analyze it and better understand that. I probably might even look at using a natural language processing tool like Watson, or maybe it's just a simple word cloud if they're not too long answer responses. I would use a VA to be able to cluster those into groups for what their intent is. That way I can better understand what they're looking at. It's really useful also to understand what page they left the comment on, or excuse me, the support ticket on. This might be more relevant with a chat tool, but that's probably the second aspect is look at your chat tools, Drift, Intercom, what have you, and export those chats with the page they're having the chat on, or the page they're starting the chat on. Usually it's the same page, but this can be complicated sometimes. I recently did this with Intercom for clients. For whatever reason, they just make it really hard to understand the chat conversations on certain pages. So what we can understand is like what pages drive the most conversions in Intercom, and what pages people start the chats on, with GA events, Intercom events. That's all great and nice, but when you want to get into the qualitative aspect of it and understand what are people asking, like of course the pricing page is one of them, probably more chatted with usages of Intercom on your whole site, but what are they asking? Are they just asking about price? Usually it's something deeper than the price itself. Most all the time it's not about this is too expensive. They may be saying that, but if there's something deeper, typically a clarity issue with the wording on the pricing page, the copy, what have you. So anyway, quick tip with if you're using Intercom, integrating it with BigQuery automatically joins the URLs and the chats as a quick win. But it's really important to be able to do that to understand what are they asking. So support tickets obviously going to be a bit more contextual, more than likely with probably hopefully classification from the support agents already or the tool you're using, Zendesk, Helpdesk, what have you. And then also using your chat tools to understand what people are asking. Most people don't realize they're sitting on a gold mine of qualitative data to be able to look through those. The other aspect to look through or to do, it takes a little bit longer. Let me talk about surveys first. We all know surveys, most people don't do them right. They don't ask the right questions. They could be biased based on how they're asking them, the choices they give them. Should they even be giving them choices in the first place? Most of the time, surveys usually aren't set up the best, and they don't necessarily lead to action and insights. But surveys is a bit more scalable way to do that. Incentivize the survey if you have to, unless you have a big list to email. You'll more than likely get a handful of responses just for free. But it's worth it if you have to pay $20 per respondent in your own site. Credit is usually the best way to do that from just a financial standpoint, but $20 Amazon gift card is absolutely worth it. Just do it and you will get great responses back. The last thing is not as scalable, but it is probably the best way to get insights is to do a jobs to be done type interview. Just do an interview period, but jobs to be done framework. I recommend you to Google that if you don't know what that is. Made famous by Clayton Christensen and some others, but he was kind of the father of that, who developed this process of customers don't buy products, they hire the products to get jobs done. And this is really insightful to understand, the driving factors, the pushing and pulling factors that really lead customers to buy, and what are they actually setting out to do in the first place, and what service or product that you have that solves their problem. You'll just record the conversations, make sure it's okay with the person you're talking to, of course. Transcribe those. You have done that with Zoom and Otter.ai, and it's really helpful to share with the team as well, so the copywriters can see this, and so we can all understand the actual language the customer is using, which really informs keyword research to understand, they're talking about it like this way and not how I would say. Just a small modifying change can change for hundreds or thousands of keywords of how they would use it, and that modifier applying across a broad range of keywords. So that aspect is really helpful. It's also helpful just to use their own language on the sales page. Tell me what you need, and I'll resell it to you with putting it on the copy page, of framing it to you how you want it. So it's a really great way to repurpose content, but in their own words, and making sure that aligns with what people are actually saying. Because if one customer says it, and my recommendation is to survey 20 respondents in these jobs to be done, more than likely more than one's going to say that. I say 20 because you typically find enough different responses within the sample size, anywhere from 15 to 20. You'll get a range of answers where you're not going to start to get new answers unless you have a wide portfolio or range of products. So jobs to be done interviews is where you're going to get the most information and data from that. If you found this helpful, please share it with a friend, another marketer or agency who would also find this helpful. And again, once you've done all this research in your first party data, maybe I could have a template spreadsheet in the future for this, but just organize everything into a spreadsheet and then go to your keyword tools, and you're gonna have so much better data going in and keywords and modifiers to upload into the tools to use than if you would just start in Ahrefs. You have more context to know what to look for. Like we all love you can just put in a URL and get all the keywords they currently rank for, or put in competitors and get the gaps. But if you don't know those modifiers to filter by, and you're just using standard ones for every site, it's not going to be exactly customized to your business. So this is a really great way to do next level keyword research and know going in what to look for and what to spot, versus sort of having to be reactive. This way you're a lot more proactive with your favorite keyword research tool. Mine is Ahrefs. Hope you found this useful, and we'll talk soon.